So we've been talking about religion and abortion, and one of my friends says, with all due respect, very nicely, you need to understand the law and grace and the difference between the two covenants. That would be a start. Great. But here's my problem with it. I'm not a fan. When I read the Old Testament God seems so drastically different than the New Testament God. It's really hard to believe that they're the same. And with the Old Testament God being a jealous God and lots of war and killing of innocent people who didn't agree with him or his people, like, not a fan of the Old Testament God at all. Now, I'm a big fan of Jesus. Honestly, most of Jesus's talks, letters in red in the Bible, he seems like a Buddhist in my mind. So I like Jesus. Not a big fan of Paul. Paul seems like he didn't like women very much. Matter of fact, hated them. So, so I understand the difference between how grace came. So with that being said, Jesus brought grace. So shouldn't we give grace to one another? Right? Like, shouldn't we also give free will to one another? So shouldn't we allow women to have autonomy over their bodies and for everyone to be equal? But where I also get caught up is the Bible says that God is the same yesterday, today, and tomorrow. And it gives me cognitive dissonance. Like, this doesn't make sense. How could God be so evil, in my opinion, in the Old Testament? And then he just woke up one day and realized, shit, I made a mistake. Let's just send my son down there to cover, everybody's sins, because this is exhausting, killing everybody. It just doesn't make sense to me. And I've studied it, and I've preached it, and I have taught it, and I have looked into countless ways to make it make sense, and I couldn't make it make sense. It just doesn't make sense to me. But thanks for pointing it out.